got this thing ground down, about to hit it with some welding glue sealed up. Alright, so we got the hole welded up all the way. Two things: one, it's not pretty, don't really care about that. Two, it is not liquid proof, not waterproof, not gas proof. I ran some water through it and it comes out the pinholes, and there's pretty much nothing I can do about that except clean it up, which I've done, and then I'm gonna hit it with JB Weld just to cover the pinholes. But I still needed to weld this middle part because I wouldn't want to cover such a big part with just JB Weld, you know. So now that I've covered the big hole, I'm just gonna hit with JB Weld all around the outside. But before I do that, I need to let it dry off all the way. So in the meantime, I'm trying to figure out what the deal is with, I don't know if it's a carb spring or something to do with the throttle cables, I don't know, but just for whatever reason, it doesn't want to snap back. I've tried tightening and loosening throttle cables here, so I don't know. I'm down to thinking it might be a carb spring or something like that. So I started taking pieces off, and I was taking off this tray, intake, whatever you want to call it here. And all the screws came out okay, except for that one right there, which I just got done drilling it out. Not a big deal. I'll have to get another screw. No problem. I may pull the carbs and clean them while I'm down here. We'll just see what's going on. Alright, got the JB Weld all nice and applied on the gas tank, and I went way over the entire thing and around the edges, so it shouldn't leak. I've always had good luck with JB Weld, so gonna let that sit a couple days. And then down here, sadly, there are two more screws. One is way back in the corner there. Try to get where you can see it. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll try to put an arrow on the screen, but it's right in there, and there's no like physical way to get a screwdriver in there. So I'm gonna have to go and get one of those bendy ones. So I'm gonna have to go to the store, and it kind of puts me at a standstill for now. I got a couple of small things done. I found some bolts and washers to hold the struts on the back, so that'll be good that those won't fall off while I'm driving around. Before I'll be able to crank it, I will need to put the battery on, which I'm not really wanting to do until I figure out what all this random stuff is. So I need to print out a wiring schematic and get after some of these wires and figure out what they're supposed to be doing. There's just way too many of them that aren't plugged into anything. I don't feel good about that, so I've got some stuff to figure out, but I'll get there. Alright, time for another update on this thing. So I've been working hard at it, but even with the bendy screwdriver, I was not able to get the screw out of the corner of this thing. Let's see. There she is down there on the right. I don't know if you can see her or not, but it's basically stripped out. And as far as I can tell, these rubber things don't come out. I'm having a heck of a time getting them out, so I'm really just at the point where I'm just going to leave it. The main reason I wanted it out is so I could have good access to the carbs, because I wanted to disconnect the throttle cables. But I was able to get it done without pulling it off. So, with these throttle cables disconnected, I was able to tell that one of them, specifically the pull cable, is really gummed up. It does not have good action. It's kind of hard to show on camera with one hand, but basically the pull cable is gummed up too bad. It just is not working, and so I ordered new throttle cables. So when those get here, I'll throw them on, and that should fix my issue with the throttle. Other than that, I went ahead and drained the coolant just to see, one, if there was any. The coolant system is clean, and there was coolant in there, and it was nice and green, and went ahead and flushed it more with some water, and the water that came out was nice and clear. So the coolant system's all good to go. The reason it looks milky is because I had some oil in there previously. So coolant system's good to go, so that's good. And basically now I'm waiting on throttle cables and working on wiring. So as I said before, there's all kinds of just random wires, and somebody was hacking stuff together, and I don't know what any of this stuff is, but I was able to find not one but two wiring schematics online, both for this bike. And so I'm just going to be going through it and figuring out what each of these things are and figuring out what wire goes where. And once I feel like I have it all together, I'll throw the battery on it and see if she cranks. So yeah, that's where we're at. Also, the JB Weld over here is drying nicely. I'm gonna give it another probably a day or two before I try to put liquid in there and see if it holds. It's supposed to have 48 hours to cure out, so I'm gonna let it do that before I try to put anything in it. But once it is done, I will hit this tank with some rust treat stuff. It needs it pretty bad. So we're definitely getting there. Definitely getting there. So thanks to my friends here, I've been able to figure out and label a ton, if not all, of this random wiring laying around. A lot of it is just random stuff. Seeing thermo switch for the radiator fan, and wire that goes to a relay also for the radiator fan. This stuff's for rear tail lights. This is a turn signal relay. He must have been having a problem with the turn signals because they're all stripped apart. But anyways, this is the starter relay, and this is just turn signal, but this right here is starter relay. For some reason he has no plug, and he's had like ghetto stuff going on. So I mean, I redid it, the connections are solid and none of them are going to bridge each other. I ordered a actual plug to replace this with as soon as possible, but just for purposes of seeing if this thing will crank, I'm gonna, you know, connect it all like that. And I went to O'Reilly's and got a battery, but apparently it's like some assembly required. It just come in a box, and I figured it was just gonna be a battery in this box, but you have to, like, I guess peel this strip back and put this juice in there. Not exactly sure what's going on, but you know, we'll figure it out. Alright, so it's later on in the week. I've been working a lot and it's been raining and stuff. As you can see, the shop flooded as it always does, but I got it dried up enough to work on some stuff. Just gonna have to keep electronics off the floor. Not a big deal. But anyways, we got some parts in. As I already showed you, we have the battery and there's some assembly required. So basically, you just flip these containers of electrolytes upside down and poke them down, and that will poke holes in the tin foil and it will drain them into the battery. And then after you do that, you have to put this cap on it and you let it set for like 20 minutes, and then you got to charge it with the trickle charger, which I didn't have, but shout out to Zach, he loaned me one. So I'm going to put them on the charger and get it charged up, and then we can try and start the thing. But apparently it has to charge for like 9 to 18 hours. So in the meantime, I've got other things to do. We got all our brake pads in, so I can go ahead and throw those on. Raymond's coming over later to help me bleed brakes, but I can at least throw the pads on and be ready for it. And then I got not just one, but both throttle cables, so that'll be cool. And of course I need to clean the shop really bad, make some room. So we'll do that, but in the meantime, I'm gonna get started with this battery. So got the electrolytes and water emptied out in there. You can hear them fizzing. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's like fizzing around in there and stuff, kind of cool. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw this cap on. Something like that. Get that pushed all the way down, and I have to let it set for 20 minutes, and then I'll throw it on the charger. Alright, so another little update here. We got the battery charging, and you can definitely tell that the charger is working. It started at like 10 point something, so it's getting there. Said to charge it for like 8 hours, and it's not getting too warm, so should be good. So when 8 hours is up, I'll disconnect it, and at that point it should be ready to go, and should be able to try for a start. Obviously I don't have fuel, so I'll just spray some carb cleaner in the carbs, and we'll see, you know, if it wants to run or not. Other than that, I put our new throttle cables on, and the throttle was still getting stuck, so I was doing a little bit more troubleshooting, a little bit more research. I made sure that I had them adjusted right. Can't really see it. I made sure that I had them adjusted right and in the right place, and I did. For this cable right here, it had this nut on top, and obviously that doesn't even make sense, so I moved it to the bottom. And also, I took this thing right here apart and cleaned the inside of it, and I also took the handle off and cleaned the inside of the handle and cleaned the outside of the bar here, and now works perfect. So like I said, I put the new cables on and it was still getting stuck, then I cleaned it and that's what fixed it. So definitely, if you're having a throttle sticking issue, then just take it apart and clean it. I thought it seemed clean enough. I didn't think there was enough dirt to cause trouble, but there was. So who knew? Take it apart and clean it can actually help. But other than that, I got the rear brake pads installed. You can see we have a brake pad on both sides now and meat on it, so that's good. And then I went to go do the fronts, and the fronts, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but the fronts actually have a lot of meat. I actually took it off and looked at them, and the fronts are good on both sides. So now I just got spares. It was only 15 bucks for the whole set of pads, so I ain't worried about that. I'll just keep those like in my bag on the motorcycle, just in case I ever need them on the road or something like that. So at this point, since the battery is charging, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the gas tank. So it's been drying for probably a week, and I just ran some water through it to see if this was going to be watertight, and it is. The JB Weld worked great. Welding and JB Weld, technically. So obviously I still have a problem with it because it's quite rusty in there. So I went to O'Reilly's to see what they had for that, and they have these things here. There's this thing called Evapor Rust, and basically I was reading the directions and it says you just pour it in the tank. And how it works is you just set the tank on its bottom for an hour and then rotate it to its side for an hour, rotate it to the top for an hour, so that it's had the liquid sitting on each side of it for an hour, and that is supposed to kill all the rust. And then once I'm done with that, I pour this red coat stuff in there, and you just slosh it around and then drain it and let it dry, and you're basically ready to go. And this also fills like pinhole leaks, so that makes me feel extra good about my weld and JB Weld job. So I don't think I'll have any leaking issues.